My next guest is Marty Ross. Welcome, Marty.
Thanks for having me here today.
Thanks for being here. Marty, I know the story of the Wycliffe Stiff Stickball League, having written 3 articles about it now, one of which hasn't been published yet or accepted, keep fingers crossed, and having watched the league in action. But please tell our audience a little bit about your backstory. First of all, for those viewers who didn't grow up in an urban area, what is the game of stickball?
Cynthia and folks, stickball is a game that's played with a Spalding ball and a mystique about this ball, and an old broom handle at 42 inches, and it's played on concrete, and it's similar to baseball, only in our case, we don't have men or women running the bases.
Well, what made you decide to put together a league of stickball teams for the over 50 crowd to relive the game of your youth, and how old were you at the time?
I developed this in 2002, and what had happened was I'm retired from my first life in business, and my wife and we live in Wellington, Florida, a 4-season area. Weather is perfect. And a friend of mine from New York, very good friend of mine, went into a hardware store and saw a very nostalgic item, this bat and ball, and he sent it down to me. And I remembered it as a game in the Northeast many years ago. Hadn't heard about it or thought about it in many years. And I started to question all the people. I live in a community with 1,050 homes and people outside the gates. I live in Wycliffe Golf and Country Club, and when I mentioned it to the people, did they know what this was? Their eyes lit up. They were reliving their youth, stories, smiles, and actually that's how you and I became friends, Cynthia,
yes.
Also as well, because this has a magical mystique to it. And so I carried it forward in 2002, and we're going into our 13th season on a high.
Well, now, Marty, what's the age of your currently oldest player, and what's the age of your oldest ever player?
Our oldest player is 80, going to be 88 years old.
88, God bless.
Our youngest player, you didn't ask me, but our youngest player at this point is in the early 50s.
And is the 88-year-old fellow the oldest you've ever had, or have you ever had anyone even older on the league?
We haven't had anybody, we had people involved in our league that are older, but we haven't had anybody playing on the field older, but that wouldn't preclude us from not having that if somebody had the ability and the interest.
Now, you mentioned that you don't run in your modified version. How have you modified the rules to make it feasible for people of upper years to play?
That's exactly in order to in order to develop a recipe for success and keeping people forever young, we had to be flexible, and that's a key in dealing with games for people at various different ages. You have to give them the ability to have fun at the ages that they are, and they're capable of doing this. And so we play on a concrete field that measures 50 feet by 250 feet, and it's called Stickball Boulevard. And we, it's like similar to a football field. It's on concrete, and we, what we've done is several things. One, unlike other sports, our mission is to keep stickball tradition, keep people young, and not just a game. And so to do this, one of the things we do is we don't have players run. When they hit, yes, you have to have a fielder running to catch a ball somewhat, but you don't have to run to base. So we make believe virtual reality that a player has reached a base based on where he's hit it. The second part is we have, unlike anything you've ever experienced, and that's why my recipe is so good, we have a hitting team supplying their own pitcher. Now, when did you ever hear a hitting team supplying a pitcher to his own batter? Because we want people to have fun. We want people to hit the ball. We want them to feel good. We want them to feel young. And that's...
And you feel that this game is keeping you feeling young, you and your fellow players?
Cynthia, we are on a high. We're not in, we had to develop it. We had to crawl. We had to crawl, and we had to walk and run. And now we're galloping because in our own community, this year we will have 80 players playing every week on Tuesdays from November through April. I have a waiting list for players, but I have an unlimited waiting list for people who want to come and feel young and share this activity with us, because they can come any Tuesday they want and come to the field, hit a few balls, have an egg cream with us, which is a chocolate drink. They can sit in the stands. They can schmooze with people, find out about their past, and just relive stories that are precious.
Well, now you mentioned egg creams. You have egg cream and pretzel day, don't you?
By all means.
Tell.
Okay, so synonymous with this activity was the chocolate egg cream, because when we were kids in the Northeast, there were candy stores, and after a game, you went to a candy store, and so you had one of the traditional drinks was an egg cream.
Now explain to our viewers who didn't grow up in New York what an egg cream is. There's no egg in an egg cream. What is it?
Okay, an egg cream is made in let's say a glass of 12 to 16 ounces in capacity, and you don't have to be that precise. But first, you put in a third of the glass with cold milk. Cold milk. That's a key ingredient. Then you put a product called Fox's You Bet syrup, which was out of Brooklyn, New York, and that was part of the image and the mystique of stickball and egg creams. So you have Fox's You Bet syrup, and then after that you put in seltzer. Now it used to be with seltzer from a fountain, or seltzer. Today it could be seltzer in any form that you can buy it, and so forth. There are some people delivering seltzer like years ago in Florida, but you can do it. You can go to any of the markets and get seltzer, and you will see a nutritious, inexpensive drink, and then you'd have a long pretzel to go with it. And this was part of the.
We're out of time. I want to hear more about the pretzels, and so do our viewers, but we're out of time. Thank you very much, Marty Ross.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's a wrap for this week. Got a question or a comment for us? Write us at info@youngereverydaytv.com. Thanks to my guests this week, Nancy Reagan and Marty Ross, and our own chef, Jenny Elfing. Be sure to watch our next show with more tips on looking, acting, and feeling younger. Remember, you're only as old as you feel. How old do you feel today? Remember, too, to pass a smile along. It makes the world a warmer place. This is Cynthia McGregor. See you next time.